Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversation in Horror. My name is Kevin L. Powers. I'm the owner operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and welcome to this podcast that delves deep into everything horror. No matter what decade, from the 30s to the 50s to the 80s to the now, we try and touch base on a lot of different types of films from a lot of different types of or not different decades in order to give you a clearer picture of exactly what types of films are out there for you to enjoy. Now, if you've ever listened to our podcast before, you will know that we've touched upon a lot of different subgenres in horror. We try and do that because there are just a lot of subgenres that get overlooked by horror fans in general and just in general audiences. One of those is the found footage subgenre. It started off with the Blair Witch Project as being a very popular genre, but over the, I think, decade that it was popular or unpopular, the crowds for these films started to dwindle really fast.
Yeah, it's gotten very watered down since it started it with Blair Witch.
And that is Sarah Panazzo. So we want to thank her for joining us on today's podcast because we are talking about a found footage film. And this one's going to be a little bit different than some of the other films out there, and we'll get to that. This movie that we're talking about is Creep, which had a Netflix premiere and probably got a small theatrical release because Netflix only released their films early on in theaters, like a handful. But this was not at the height of the found footage craze. It is somewhere in between and or towards the end. But we decided to take a deep dive into this film because we believe that there is a lot of people who have not seen this film, and it is a film or franchise that has spawned off into a television series as well. So we're going to talk about Creep today, and I want to thank you, Panazzo, for kind of helping me with this deep dive on this film, because to be honest with you, until I rewatched the film for the podcast, I had forgotten a lot of the details in this film. I don't remember it being a film that was like struck me like something like Blair Witch Project or even Paranormal Activity, because I saw those at the theater, whereas this one I saw on Netflix.
Yeah, I think I watched this originally as it hit Netflix for distribution, and I've been following it ever since. I remember wanting a sequel because there was so much more you could see, and then I haven't watched the TV series yet, but I am so interested because I think I went from watching this to watching The League with Mark Duplass and his wife, who also makes a cameo in this, which is completely different, super funny, and it's very interesting watching him go from that character to a similar but not as dark character on The League. So I've been following him ever since then, and I love this movie. It is so much fun.
I will say this. I know Mark, how do you say his last name?
I think it's Duplass.
Okay, Duplass. So I know him from the film Baghead, which I saw in an indie theater when it first came out, and I had no idea what to expect. I saw the trailer and thought it was going to be funny. And so that's how I picture him as being funny. So when I saw this film, and so for everyone out there, I didn't see Creep until Creep 2 came out. I ended up watching them maybe a day or two in between each other, but that's when I saw this film. So I did not see it when it originally came out. But I know him from that movie, which I found completely hilarious. And so watching this film, I find him still hilarious as shit. When I rewatched the film for the podcast, I find it much darker and still just as funny, like a black comedy would be. And I have a greater appreciation for the film itself.
Well, and the whole thing with them making it, so it stars the director and writers. So, Joseph and Aaron are both played by Mark Duplass and Patrick Bryce, who created the story in their spare time. And Patrick Bryce, who's the guy behind the camera, actually directed it. They did this over like weeks and weeks and weeks. They would show parts to their friends, and their friends would be like, I don't really know how I feel about this. So there are like a ton of different cuts of this and how different scenes played out and different endings, because it was constantly a work in process. They didn't really have like a full script with a refined story, so they would play it in multiple directions just to see how they wanted to go with it. But I love that it's just the two of them. It was like $500 altogether. and then just their time and devotion to it. And it really shows because it's such a phenomenal thing. I mean, even in the end credits, they like thank the little places where they had lunch at in the movie. They thank the like dollar store where they got the mask from. And it's just unbelievable.
So that's I did not know that the director is also the other guy in the film. The thing I liked about this film when I just recently saw this is the fact that it doesn't start off with Mark's. What is Mark's character?
Joseph.
Yes, Joseph. It doesn't start off with Joseph with the camera. It starts off with Aaron with the camera, and Aaron is the person that Joseph has hired to film his I guess his last moments for his son, which I actually loved. It didn't dawn on me when Joseph makes the comment that this is his version of my life. I had completely forgotten about that.
Oh my gosh. I looked into that and I was like, okay, I get that. And then the fact that this whole movie was inspired by Craigslist in general, My Dinner with Andre, Misery, and Fatal Attraction, I'm like, I can see it in every single bit of this movie. It is so genius.
Yeah, it is. And I had forgotten about the movie My Life until he mentioned it. And I was like, holy shit. And the concept that, and this is where this movie, and thank you for telling me all kind of the background of how it was made, because I didn't know any of that. But this is where this movie is kind of a little genius, because it has this one concept of this guy just wanting to film these last moments for his unborn son so that he can watch him back later. Now, that concept right there is, but when you realize by the end, it's him rewatching all these moments again, and it's like, ooh, that's some creepy shit there.
And all of it just gets creepier and creepier as it progresses, because they go through like tubby time and him giving the kid a bath, and there's all these like crisis moments where he's like, I should just kill myself before the cancer gets me. And he'll just make weird comments and all this other stuff, and he introduces like peach fuzz, and he talks about his sex life with his wife. And I mean, it's really funny because it's like there were a lot of arguments online of who's the real creep in this movie, the guy who hired him to do these videos, or the guy who's like, I don't know who this is. It could be a single, lonely woman who's looking for a hot guy, and I just need this $1,000, so I'm going to do whatever this guy says and follow him into the bathtub.
Once you told me that they were go back and refilm stuff based on their friends' reactions to it, it must have been tough, because the scenes in this film are borderline creepy and not creepy, and who's genuine, what's genuine. And as it goes on, you almost feel that certain things that Joseph does are very innocent. He could be telling the truth, and Aaron's really the creep. And I'm like, I don't remember any of this. I must not have been in the mood when I originally watched this film. I was like, dude, this movie is really good, because it keeps you off balance the whole time.
Yes, it keeps you on your toes the entire time. And like watching it the first time, you don't know who, like we said, who's the creep. Mm-hmm. And then if stuff should be taken innocently or if it's whatever, because like they're going by the lake and he's like, oh, it's a cute little lake. And then he zooms in on the tree trunk with the axe and he's like, huh. And then later on, Joseph is like, when you saw that axe earlier, did you think I was going to kill you with it? And then he laughs about it. He's like, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. But there's so many callbacks the rest of the movie. So like watch it and enjoy it the first time. The second time, you notice so many little things.
Yeah, and I think
just really throwaway comments in general that are just little nuggets of gold.
Yeah, and it such surprises me that what you said is like they were kind of shooting this on the fly and trying to fix stuff as they shot it over the course of a long period of time. And I'm like, really? Because they did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Normally what you would see, like the only other person I could think of who does that really well, sometimes, not all the times, is Christopher Guest, who did a lot of improv with his scripts with the cast, because he uses the exact same cast for every movie. And I
guess that's why it works, is because Mark is known for his comedy. Mm-hmm. So like being able to go from that funny to, oh, this is kind of creepy, to, no, this is plain creepy, but it's also funny at the same time. I mean, the Peach Fuzz dance and everything else, like, it's borderline creepy and funny the entire movie, all the way up to the end. Just because of how they're acting. It's genius.
So we're gonna bring up the Peach Fuzz thing because I had forgotten about that until I was watching. I was like, "Holy shit!" He does do the little weird, creepy dance with Peach Fuzz, and his story of how he got the mask to begin with.
And the mask is so freaking creepy.
Like my father's going to do this Peach Fuzz dance with this creepy mask, and Aaron's over there like,
And then it's like weird because then later on you get like a sexual version of it when he's really drunk on like Benadryl and stuff. And then it gets to the point where like Peach Fuzz becomes like the story of he's like, I'm trying to train my next little Peach Fuzz, my baby Peach Fuzz. And then it gets to the point where the end credits, there's like a folk singer singing the Peach Fuzz song.
It is a very off-putting film, but I think that is the reason why it's such a good film. Like I remember the first time I watched it, it highly I forgot a lot about it, but having to rewatch it for the podcast and kind of give it a much more critical eye has allowed it to dig deeper for me. I should probably do that with Baghead and some of his other films to redo it, because I think this is one of those films that utilizes comedy extremely well. And
Yes.
not only in a horror film, but in a found footage horror film too.
Yes.
That. The only other film I could think of that uses comedy really well in this type of atmosphere is Behind the Mask.
Yes.
That's about the only one I could think of.
But that one's like straight comedy. It's not even like this could
Yeah.
be creepy. It could be, it's straight comedy. Whereas this, like, you
It's
don't
creepy.
know where that line is of, is it creepy? Is it funny? Like, it's so creepy and disturbing. It's funny. It's so funny, but it's creepy. Cause like he starts asking him really personal questions like, anybody you need to make peace with before you go. And
Yeah.
like in any other, like talking to a cancer, victim, like that could be very heartfelt of like, okay, well, I'm reconsidering things in my own life. But then like in the whole of it, it's like, he's literally asking him, who does he want to be at peace with before he possibly murders him?
Yeah.
And then there's like lines like, that's what it feels like when you feel like you're going to die. And I'm like, okay, thanks,
Now-
bud. There's so many good jump scares in this just because he's trying to like make him jump.
So I'm going to add something to this because I'm glad you brought that up. Like, if you wanted to do a jump scare and make it effective in a horror film, this is one of the few fucking films that does it right. I think that the way that Mark or Joseph scares the shit out of Aaron and Aaron stays because he wants the money is
Yes.
freaking brilliant. I think
And
it
it's
does really well.
so funny because like at first you're like, okay, he's just fucking with the guy. Like when he like attempts to drown himself in the bathtub and he's like, nah, I'm just messing with you, man. And then it eventually gets creepier and creepier where near the end of the film where it's all from Aaron's perspective of the camera in his house. And like he'll leave it set up and all of a sudden Joseph is standing outside the front door and you're like, this is what this is leading up to. And it's just so well done.
It is because normally now this is the odd thing about the plot, which I think works in the film's favor. Aaron gets the hell out of there, and
Somehow.
then he gets out there.
We don't even see it happen.
No,
They
we don't
tell us
see it.
about it later.
But then Aaron is still filming himself, and because he's been so fucked up by his experience with Joseph that he's still filming, and
Yeah.
we, as the audience, don't know why he's filming. I don't even think Aaron knows why he's still filming.
I think he says that too. He's like, I don't know why I'm still filming, but I'm having like PTSD nightmares. And then he slowly starts getting gifts in the mail that are not really like return addressed, which means that they were just dropped off at his house. And now he's like, okay, I need proof because the police don't believe me. They're not taking me serious. So I'm going to record this. And it just escalates so much further than anything else. Like I said, like you see him waking up in the middle of the night and you see Joseph like outside of the house. There's little things like Joseph was outside of the house, but the front door was unlocked when he went to open it to go get him. And I was like, oh yeah, so Joseph was inside the house, which is a very apparent much later.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just it's so borderline creepy and funny because then like Joseph sends him like a stuffed wolf and he sends him a giant like butcher's knife and he's like, no, you gotta like open up the insides and become this little wolf. And there's like a little locket with their pictures in it. And it's like, that's so fucking creepy, but it's so funny at the same time.
Yeah, but the thing is, Aaron, as he's still creeped out, has the nightmares, is trying to get the police to believe his story. He also at some point still believes that Joseph is innocent and just mentally.
Yeah. And I mean, even when his Joseph's like wife sister
Yes.
calls and she's like, no, he's mentally unwell, and he still wants to believe the best of him and think that he's a good person. And like Joseph calls it out in the end, and like you're sitting there watching the ending, like, why are you sitting the way you are sitting?
And you
like,
never turn around.
Why wouldn't you turn around? And then Joseph, it cuts to him watching this video that he recorded so he wouldn't get murdered. And Joseph's like, this is why I love you. This is why you're my favorite. Because at the end of the day, you still thought I wasn't going to do anything to you. And you believed me. And that meant a lot. But that whole ending sequence is just so comical.
It is. It's heartfelt and comical and just really sad.
Oh my God. And it's so distracting because you get the mini jump scares with like the chainsaw noise and he's looking around and he's like, what's going on? And then just like the whole like trench coat thing, and he like comically walks up behind him and like overextends himself. And it's so cartoonish. Like I felt like I was watching Tom and Jerry or something.
You are, because he's got the Peach Fuzz mask on. So
he does. It's Peach Fuzz in a trench coat. And he comes up with like this. It's like when Tom or Jerry comes up with the giant mallet from nowhere. And it's like, how did this happen?
Yes. And then of course now he even scares himself, which I found hilarious. Because of the video.
Yes.
Oh my God. I rewatching the film, and this is where I am always happy to rewatch a film and learn something new. This film was very effective on the second time I watched it because it changed my aspect of what I had watched, and I actually enjoyed it more the second time than I did the first time. Now, when I tell people about this film Creep, I'll have a much grander opinion of it, because it is such a creepy fucking movie, and now I have to go back and watch the second one now. Before I watched the series.
Which the series, I love how they did it, because like the ending of the movie is him like kissing his little compilation of all of the Aaron stuff together onto a disc, and he kisses it, puts his name on it, and draws a little heart, and sticks it in his like trophy closet, which is just lined with years of VHSs and DVDs and everything else. And like, I know everybody wanted like an extension. They were like, okay, what happens next? So like the sequel happens. He names himself after Aaron because he was his favorite. That's his new identity. And then the Creep tapes is supposed to be little bits of those tapes that are in that cabinet, which I love, because by the end of the second one, like it can be very finite or infinite, but going back and revisiting like, oh, well, he did this with this person this one time and this with this, I think is genius.
Yeah, that's why I need to go back and rewatch it now. I'm not going to watch the show until after I rewatch the second one.
Yeah.
Because I want to get caught back up. But it is definitely on my next watch list. So, speaking about this film, did we go through the whole plot already?
It's very brief. It's not a big plot. There is a lot of stuff that happens, and it just gets it's funny, it's unsettling. You see these guys trying to bond and understand each other, and like one trying to explain death while trying to tell the other guy how worth it is to live. And then by the end, it's just like, it's really creepy because he was making this video for Aaron almost. And I don't know if you picked up on that, because they were going to call the kid Buddy. And then by the time he's sending the videos to Aaron at the end, he refers to Aaron as Buddy.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And so, I mean, he's got this whole speech about wolves and how they know how to love deeply, but they don't know how to express it. And they're violent. And frankly, they murder things that they love. But he talks, it's all about finding like his own little wolf cub to train, and he's like looking for that person to take the mantle up like his dad probably trained him. And there's just so much depth to this movie. It's unbelievable.
Which is surprising considering how it came about. That's like, wow.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't think I saw any of that when I originally watched it. It was only until I had to rewatch it for the show that I actually picked up on a lot of it. And then, of course, with you telling me some of the behind the scenes of how it was made, that adds a little bit more to the actual ambiance to the story of this film. I had no idea it was made for so little money and over such a long period of time because they were trying to figure out how it all works.
Yeah.
I could see this being having watched Baghead and some of the other Marks Duplass's other films. I could see that he's very kind of he likes doing projects like this,
and I mean it's what he's meant for. I mean, he does some really great bizarro stuff like this.
Yeah, he does. He most certainly does. So I hope that when people hopefully listen to this, they will actually seek this film out, not only because of how good it is, but also Mark Duplass and some of his other great projects out there, whether they're his straight comedy stuff or the other horror stuff he's done. Because I don't think he does straight horror, but his is like this really borderline creepy horror comedy, black comedies ish films that are really good at creeping you out as an audience member, but yet not as hard hitting as a true black comedy to actually hit you over the head and you just dislike it completely. It's not
you're gonna feel uncomfortable watching these. They make you squirm. Like there's a whole scene where he's not at the house, so Aaron's just like walking back to his car, and then Joseph shows later like, "Oh, I took pictures of you because I was there. I was watching you." And it's just like little things. Like it can be so funny and semi-heartfelt, and then it gets so creepy so fast.
Yeah. And I think that's where it's most effective is stuff like that. I don't want this to give people the bad, or filmmakers, the bad ideal of that anyone could go out there and shoot a film like this. He shot this long period of time trying to work out the best ways of doing it because there are lots of people out there, and the found footage genre is notorious for lots of bad films out there simply because everyone out there used to think that they could just make their own found footage film and make it effective. This film is a really effective found footage film.
It is, and to show how much of a fluke it was, like the fact that it took like years for them to even get to a second one because they couldn't come up with a story that even managed to match the strength of this one. Mm-hmm. Like it was one of those things where everything was so wrong it just went right.
Yeah.
They managed to pull it out of their ass, and I don't know how, but it is super impressive.
Yeah, and like we said, it's got only 2 cast members. One of which is the director.
Yeah, I mean, they're both the writer, the one's the director, and that's about it. It was like having a conversation with your best friend and filming it, and then being like, you know what? Let's go back. Let's go ahead and redo this one again. It's so insane, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Same here. Like I said, now I have a new outlook on the film. But do you have anything else to say about this film?
If you haven't seen it, I mean, obviously we've spoiled it a bit.
Yeah,
but it is 100% worth it just to see it for yourself and to experience the whiplash that is this movie, because you will be on your toes the entire time. And if you have seen it and you're now realizing things based on what we have said, please go back and watch it. Some of the comments, like I said, like the first words of the movie are, "Oh, hey, nice lake." And that's literally where the movie ends. There's so many throwaway little lines and little hints throughout the movie that there's so many Chekhov's guns. It's unbelievable. And I absolutely adore this movie. The cinematography is great. Mm-hmm. Everything just looks so natural and real. And it's so well done.
So for me, I like people to take away from this film as being a really great example of how to do a really good found footage film with a lot with little resources. But if you have creativity in terms of the writing and the cinematography, and you can pull it off with the performances, then you can achieve something like this. But it took them a long time to get to this point. This wasn't something that just came out of nowhere. And they workshopped it. Workshopped is the best way for me to describe it. They workshopped it with friends and who watched pieces of it. They realized what worked, what didn't work, and they kept improving it until they came up with what the final film is. It sets itself apart from other found footage films by how simple it may seem, but because of all the little bits of information and dialogue that's in there that kind of comes full circle by the end, it makes rewatching this film much more fun and much more engaging and much more entertaining, because there are so many little things that is said that you would think would be a throwaway, but it actually has an effect later in the film.
Yeah, everything has a purpose almost. It's unbelievable how well done it is, and how sneaky it is too. The whole movie literally sneaks up on you.
Sneaky is a good word for this film. Sneaky.
But you will never look at the wolf mask the same way again. I've guaranteed you've seen a meme with it from the screenshot of this movie of him in front of the door. I know people have been losing their minds to get copies of the mask, like the legit mask, because it wasn't something custom made. They literally got it from like a costume store in the small little town that was there for super cheap.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
But before we go, I do want to apologize for anyone who's never seen the film. We did talk a lot about the entire plot of this film. We try not to do that as much, but there are some spoilers in this film because it's a film that once you start talking about it, you just can't stop.
It all ties together so well because it just does.
It does. With that, I want to thank you, Panazal, for joining us in Conversations of Horror, in which we talked about Creep. Everyone out there, I hope that you not only get a greater appreciation of the found footage genre, but you take a chance on this film if you've never seen it or never heard of it. I think this is one of the best examples of what the found footage genre can be, especially for those people who have seen way too many bad ones. You should definitely check this one out. It's also funny, it's engaging, and it's got a little heartfelt moments on it, and will creep you the fuck out. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us this week for Conversations in Horror. Please make sure to check out our new episodes every Wednesday at 8 a.m. or on your favorite podcast app, Spotify and YouTube. You can always find our previous episodes there. We're coming up on episode 100, so I hope that you have either listen to a lot of the previous episodes, or we'll go back and listen to them because we talked about a lot of great episodes on the show. With that, make sure to subscribe, do that thing you do with podcasts. And from everyone here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we want to wish you a great day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.